So let's go ahead and talk about Brandon. President Biden gave a speech last night that really did piss off a lot of conservatives. And if you go on Twitter right now, probably Reddit or anywhere where they really congregate, you are going to see them angry and basically coping to the max because Joe Biden, Brandon, finally said what everybody has been wanting him to say for a very long time. Let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm going to play just a tad bit of it because I don't want to play a 2-minute video. Here we go, though. I believe this is the part that has the MAGA crowd really up in arms, really shaking and pissing all over themselves.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
So that really is what this speech, or part of the speech, is what has the MAGA crowd very upset. And I know there has been some MAGA people in my comment section. So, you know, hey, how's it going? I bet you guys are pissed right now, but cope, I guess. So let's go ahead and go through these people one at a time, all of these conservatives who are very upset. You have Tim Pool, who is, I mean, let's be honest, this guy is basically a conservative. No matter how much he wants to ride the fence, he basically holds the water for the MAGA crowd, probably 95 to 98%, and that is me being generous. He goes, they aren't hiding that they are declaring a war. And this is Tim Pool's whole shtick. This guy has been basically fapping to a civil war forever now. He's been calling it forever. Here he goes. In 50 years, when they write about the second civil war, they will explain how it started in 2020. Let's see if we go up, you know, like it's just Tim Pool going on about civil war. So, you know, that's Tim Pool. Seems like an indictment may come before the midterms. The plan was to prop up MAGA Republicans in the primary so they could demonize them and win in the general. Biden engaged in extreme stochastic terrorism. Now, we're going to get to that later because it is Republicans who are really doing that. We'll talk about that in another video that I have planned. But let's go on to Benjamin Shapiro. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. If you're pro-life, pro-constitution, pro-marriage, you're a traitor, according to Ben Shapiro. Now, he doesn't even really refute those claims because the MAGA crowd are explicitly against pro-choice. They don't want pro-choice. They're iffy on contraceptives. You have Republicans coming out and you know, voting against making sure gay marriage is protected. We'll get to that later on as well. But it is very funny how Ben Shapiro spins it as pro-life, pro-constitution, pro-marriage. Like I don't understand what you know, gay marriage has to do with pro-marriage, but this is the mind of a lunatic, Ben Shapiro. Like it's just absolutely crazy how how much cope is really going on with the conservative movement right now. As Ben Shapiro's facts don't care about your feelings, well, they tend to care about Ben Shapiro somehow. Tommy Lauren, if you still remember her, she used to be, I believe she was on The Blaze. I think she's actually on Fox News now. I'm not sure. Here is her coping about, it's a great day to be an ultra MAGA Republican, proud as ever. The Democrats elected their dementia king have pushed through their socialist agenda, opened our border, continue to coddle their beloved thugs and felons, yet they are still mad. Why? Is this hellhole you created not what you expected? Now, let's go ahead and get onto that. I'm not sure what socialist agenda Joe Biden has pushed. I don't recall him doing anything really socialist. He is a milquetoast Democrat moderate who hasn't done any form of socialism at all. But I guess if you ask a Republican, they'll say that giving a student loan debt relief is a form of socialism, which is just ridiculous. And it's not really worth conversing, because there's no there. It's just absolute. It's just stupidity. Continue to coddle their beloved thugs and felons. Not sure, again, what she's talking about. Open a border? No, not true. For the longest time ever, Joe Biden has basically been following Donald Trump's policy, and they've just been doing what Trump has been doing. So, wrong on that issue as well. Now, let's go ahead and go to people who are in office. We have Lauren Boebert. I know her name is Lauren Boebert. I like to call her Lauren Boebert. Biden is set to opine on threats to America. Look in the mirror, bud. Now, this was before the speech. Now, Lauren Boebert really gets triggered here. She goes on this massive Twitter wave while the speech was going on. I can imagine. Threats to America, while people like Lauren Boebert basically help instigate January 6th, still spread the big lie, still coping about an election that happened over 600 days ago, but almost 2 years ago at this point, and they still can't accept the results of an election. Still basically anti-democracy, making fun of his guest count, meaningless. The same president that wants to disarm law-abiding Americans is also calling them a threat to democracy. Joe Biden hasn't called to disarm Americans. That's just absolute nonsense in their real view. Any sort of gun regulation is a mechanism to disarm law-abiding Americans. She is happy to declare she's an ultra MAGA idiot. This man wants to divide and attack half of America, which is what Donald Trump does consistently, and ironically, what he will be doing tomorrow at the time I'm recording this. It is something that he will be doing at his speech. And yes, we reject violence as a political tool. Now go ahead and denounce Antifa. We will also get to that as well, because Joe Biden has denounced forms of political violence coming from the right and the left. Ironically, Lauren Boebert holds water for the Jan 6 riots. The constitutional republic thing, when mentioning democracy, Biden says we the people, but if you don't agree with him, you are labeled an extremist. What Biden actually said was, if you are a MAGA person who participates in violence, you participate in spreading lies that ultimately leads to the decaying of democracy. If you are blindly following Donald Trump and are willing to do violence for your daddy, dictator, then you are an extremist who will be potentially violent, and we have seen these people be violent. Here's Lauren Boebert talking about political violence once again. Just an insane Twitter rant by Lauren Boebert. Just absolutely crazy. Um, uh, so much copium right here. Matt Gaetz, we can go up to Matt Gaetz, asking if Brandon Joe Biden declared war on Red State America. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that Joe Biden declared them the enemy of the state, which, once again, he did not, but he did say that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are dangerous to democracy, which is true. She is, and even by her own definition, she is a Christian nationalist, which is a threat to the American way of life, because America isn't supposed to have a Christian nationalism dictatorship, which is something she would like to see. I mean, Lauren Boebert would like to see it too, because she was the one who said she is tired of this church and state crap being separated. Now, let's go on to this video right here. This is a video that has been shared around, I imagine, by Breitbart, a far-right internet website. They spread lies. But so Biden calls MAGA Republicans violent, extreme, and dangerous, while ignoring leftist violence. Now, let's go ahead and bring up some facts about this, because we can pull over here. And here is Joe Biden talking about the George Floyd riots, because when BLM happened, 95 to 96% of the protests were nonviolent, but there were that 4 to 6% of those protests turned violent, and Joe Biden came out and said that it's bad. He was against it, obviously. Right here on June 2nd. Let me highlight it for you. Here we go. There's no place for violence. There's no place for violence, no place for looting or destroying property, or burning churches or destroying businesses. We need to distinguish between legitimate peaceful protest and opportunistic violence. That is one example. I'll bring over another. This is from USA Today on June 2nd. This is the same one I just finished reading. On July 28th, peaceful protesters should be protected, but arsonists, anarchists should be prosecuted, and the local law enforcement can do that. So, literally calling for these people that they are complaining about Joe Biden not doing anything against. Biden is called for them to be prosecuted. On August 31st, Joe Biden said, "The deadly violence we saw overnight in Portland is unacceptable. Shooting in the streets of a great American city is unacceptable. I condemned this violence unequivocally. I condemned violence of every kind by anyone, whether on the left or the right, and I challenge Donald Trump to do the same." So once again, this is a USA fact check, and obviously they found it false that Joe Biden did not come out against Antifa violence, because of course he did. Here is Ted Cruz. And, Ted Cruz is doing this thing that a lot of, I guess, more of the smarter Republicans, because you have the people like Marjorie Taylor Greene who are just really unhinged. But people like Ted Cruz are unhinged too, right? But they know how to mask it a bit better, and they say, "Oh, I mean, this is just creating division." I would have to find his tweet, because I was just on it. I was just on the tweet, but let's see if I can't find the tweet real quick, because he was talking about. Oh, yeah, here we go. Tonight, Joe Biden vilified millions of Americans in a divisive and angry speech that was detached from reality of his political failures. So they're trying to make this an issue of division, trying to act like these they aren't the ones who have been dividing the country for years and years and years and years and years. Here you have GOP leader, minority leader, Kevin McCarthy. Instead of trying to bring our country together to solve the many problems he has created, Brandon has chosen to divide, demean, and disparage his fellow Americans because you disagree with his policies, which is, once again, not true. So when Republicans talk about division, they want you to ignore the fact that they don't even agree giving people rights. 157 House Republicans voted against protections for same-sex marriage. Is that not dividing people in a literal legal sense? Is that not dividing people? Is it not dividing people when you have the GOP as a unit go out and basically target the queer community, labeling them as predators, labeling them as groomers? They have been doing this for months on end now. For week after week after week, month after month, they have been coming out and labeling people of the queer community as predators, groomers. Donald Trump comes out and declares to be president, demands to be declared president again after 2 years after the election. 600 days have passed, and he's still going on about how he is the real president and that Joe Biden is illegitimate. Is that not divisive? Of course not. To these people, it's not. And let's go on to Vaush here. Let's talk about Vaush real quick. Every other speech from Trump was about how Democrats are enemies or the people who want to destroy America. Republicans don't mind divisiveness. They just want to be the ones doing the dividing, which is basically, it's true. We've seen this time and time again, as I have just shown you. Donald Trump has no problem with calling the Democrats everything under the sun. The Republicans have no problem calling members of the queer community predators. You had Lauren Boebert allude to Ilhan Omar being a suicide bomber, constantly attacking her as a person because of her identity, which leads to her getting death threats. Ilhan Omar getting death threats. Is that not dividing people? And, they get mad when they get called traitors, but they literally have it right here where it says we are all domestic terrorists. It's kind of funny, at their CPAC. It's kind of funny. Brian Tyler Cohen, the party that hosted a fascist Hungarian autocrat at CPAC to speak about how Republican Party should embrace fascist tactics, is upset at being called fascist, which is, really amazing and also true. Last thing I want to leave on with this while the Republicans are coping. This is who Republicans CPAC had at their main event in Dallas. Hungary's leader, Viktor Orban, who is, for all intensive purposes, is a dictator, fascist, who said that he does not want his people to mix races with non-Europeans. And not only did he go to CPAC, he had a standing ovation. They absolutely ate it up like Papa John's pizza. The Papa John's pizza with the cheese crust in it. I'm going to get some later on. Really good stuff, okay? But I don't eat up fascist leaders talking about not wanting to mix races like Papa John's pizza, okay? I just eat the pizza. Maybe the racism from Papa Shatner makes the pizza taste better, but I don't know, okay? I don't know where I'm going with this, okay? I'm done.